Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. First at 8, it's Pink's All Out. Then at 9, Unjacked, an unexpected surprise forces the entire unit to scramble in hot pursuit. And at 10 on Wrecked, a vicious windstorm wreaks havoc in Chicago. Big Buck Thursday on Speed. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Time to go racing, David Bailey.
You can see Tedesco is lined up right here. That's 5 gates from the inside. He was in this gate the first moto. Chad Reed still pretty much where he was. I think he can get a good start from there as long as he packed that start down. And when they water it like that and it's kind of slimy, you kick the dirt in from the sides and try to get some dry dirt in there and then really stomp it down and make sure it gets packed so it's not just sitting there floating on the slimy stuff. Tedesco has been pretty good at nailing these starts in the second moto. We'll see if moving to the inside and being motivated and burned, if that'll help him. But Tommy Hahn just to the inside of Chad. If he gets out over the gate, he might be able to tuck around the inside and put himself in position to run up front again.
All right, we're live on Speed. We have 2 points-paying motos today. We already finished 1. Tommy Hahn second in Moto 1. If he can get a solid result here in Moto 2 and Chad Reed falters, he could win his first ever race. Let's go racing live from Washougal on Speed.
Grant,
Oh,
nice.
Josh Grant, and I think that might have been Hahn that goes down. Oh, he tangled up, and Tommy Hahn is down. He's got another rider in front of him. So disaster already for Tommy Hahn. That's a heartbreaker. Meanwhile, Josh Grant, we thought he might bounce back. He does. He's got the lead, and it's Jason Lawrence in the number 2 spot. J-Law, much maligned all summer long, trying to mount a comeback. Davey Millsaps in 3rd. Jeff Alessi in the number 4 spot. Josh Grant 5th in Moto 1. Would love to win Moto 2. Wow. And where's Chad Reed? I haven't seen him yet.
See, Josh Grant just railed that berm. He had his first lap figured out. He figured that stuff out during the sight lap, and he noticed, hey, you know what, I'm not going to try to mess around and try to find a rut on the inside. It's too slick. And I left him out of my pre-race start stuff. I couldn't fit everyone in there, but Josh definitely has that Joe Gibbs JGR motor to get off the line. He just needed to get a good reaction over the gate, not get closed out. So far, so good.
Yeah, but how about this? Lawrence, inspired. The fans are pumped on this. He's all over Josh Grant. And there's no love lost between these two. In fact, Lawrence was supposed to race the 250 class all year long. The very opening round of Monster Energy Supercross this year, Grant went out and won the race in a 450. Lawrence said, hey, if Josh Grant can win a race in a 450, I can. I'm switching, I'm moving up. Now, Lawrence hasn't had a chance to show it all year, but he's going for it now.
Those guys, a new line right there. As soon as they drop into the shade, they let that suspension compress, and as it's rebounding, they just do a little bunny hop and double down. I didn't notice that in the first moto. We were watching Chad and the other guys. And it looked like maybe Tedesco that went down the first corner with Hahn. And man, disastrous day for Tedesco. Both motos going down, and then I hope Tommy's going to be okay. But Lawrence, you know, he's definitely a character. So love him or hate him, you know, he's just one of those guys that he's fun to watch ride. He's a heck of a rider. Look at that, the way he just rails that corner. So you know, like I said, whether you love him or hate him, he is fun to watch ride, and he's fast. He's keeping pace with Josh right here. But it seemed like he was kind of tired the first moto. Just let Justin Brayton get by him and didn't even really put up a fight. And here he is rejuvenated. So mentally, it just goes to show how much where you are in the race changes your motivation and your riding ability.
How unpredictable is this game? Chad Reed, our first moto winner, is way back. We finally found him here back in, I believe, 7th place. He's battling with Antonio Balbi out of Brazil. Balbi in the white number 37, and Reed behind him. So our first moto winner is in 7th. Our runner-up in the first moto crashes in turn 1, and we're looking for DeSalle, the Belgian. He is outside of the top 20. So it's a completely different race day right now. Balbi, man, that guy hangs it out. He is tough, he is rough. Sometimes he's almost a little scary to watch at times, but you give him a good start like this, and he'll fight with everything he's got. And Reed's probably aware of that. He'll be very careful dealing with the number 37. Here's Reed, and he knows his rivals for moto number 1 are even further back, so he'll play it smart to try to win the overall. I don't know if he's going to have time. Josh Grant, Jason Lawrence, Millsaps, those guys are sprinting out front. They're getting away from Reed.
There's time, and Reed gets faster as the race goes on. And Reed's also one of those guys that probably got a lot of notes from his teacher in school going, if he would just apply himself a little bit more, he could probably get A's. You know, I get the feeling that Chad, he's very bright, but he does what he needs to do. No, he's not one of those guys that's going, hey, I got to win by 40 seconds like Carmichael used to do. He's going, I just want to win. This time, now that he's got a challenge in front of him, he's going to be more aggressive and ride at the kind of pace that would get him a 40-second win if he were out front.
I mentioned Ballby can be scary at times. He just made a big mistake there. That's what he does, man. He's got pressure from behind. He'll fight. And unfortunately, that led to a mistake, and that made it relatively easy for Reed to get around him. Now Reed's behind Kirky, who had a great run in Moto 1. Kirky was 4th. Here's Kirky again, inside the top 5 of Moto 2. And Reed will go to work on him. Kirky on the privateer Suzuki. Reed in the factory bike, and in front of Kirky, another factory Suzuki rider. That's Byrne, who's in 4th, and Millsap's 3rd, Lawrence in 2nd, and Josh Grant. Going to try to win this one, but it's 30 minutes plus 2 laps, folks, and we're only 5 minutes into it. So a lot can happen, a lot can change. Heck, we saw at the start how quickly this game can change in a matter of seconds.
See the line that Chad had, and you give up a little bit of time back there in the tight left and make up 10 bike lengths on the way out, because he turns that whole right sweeper up over the hill where you're losing traction as it rises over the crest. He's got traction and just really reeled those guys in, and he stays out of that roost that they're throwing off their rear wheel. That, you know, besides the glare from the sun, the shadows here, you got this dirt hitting you in the face, you go through tear-offs, and when in the heck out here you're going to reach up and grab one? You're not in the air long enough there. You can't reach up here. Look how rough this next straightaway is. You can't take our hand off the bar there. So if he got roosted in the corner at the bottom of the hill, he's still having to look through all that until he finds a good place to pull the tearaway. So that's why these guys will change up lines, and it's tough to come through the pack. Look at all that stuff. Getting nailed with that.
All right, we're going to show you the progressive whole shot replay here, and we'll show you how Josh Grant nailed this start. And that's a big difference. Grant had a terrible start in Moto 1. Take us through it, David.
Well, Josh in the green. Money. Right up the center. You got a little sideways right off the bat, but then you see there's just not enough room for everybody in the back. And looked like Han was the first one to go down, and then Tedesco's going, hey, man, I was minding my own business. But you really don't like to see a guy laying there the way Han was. I think he's going to be okay, but and then more riders going down after that. You see the pile up to the outside.
Aaron, what have you got on Tommy Hahn?
Well, guys, I just talked to Doc Wagner, and he ended up taking Tommy Hahn back to the Asterix Medical Unit on the mule. Of course, he wasn't unconscious when the doctor arrived to him. He seems as though he's complaining of some serious pain in his right hip. He said it's just excruciating. He can barely even walk on it. He said someone has hit him. He didn't know who it was, but they are going to take him back to the medical unit and get him evaluated. All his extremities are moving at this point. So they're just going to take him back for precautionary measures to figure out the problem.
As he was down, you can see a rider had nowhere to go and hit his legs and kind of scooted him around. And that had to, I mean, sometimes you're like, hey, I don't bend like that. But he was in a weird place. The starts are so scary. I don't care if it's a fast first turn like Glen Helen or a slow first turn like that one. Everybody's trying to get through a spot and be out front, and there's just not enough room.
Man, I'll tell you, that's just another perfect example of how cruel this sport can be. Hahn with a good start, hoping to maybe win the race. Then he goes down and he's out. Josh Grant leads Jason Lawrence here at Washougal, but we're just getting started. Don't go anywhere. We are live on Speed. Don't miss a motocross race. Now it's Speed on Demand online. Get caught up on the action or relive the season's biggest moments. Just log on to speedtv.com, keyword MX, to watch the 2009 races online, on demand, anytime, exclusively at speedtv.com. Battles raging all over the place here at Washougal. Jason Wygant, David Bailey, Aaron Bates giving the call. Michael Byrne has fought, scratched, and clawed his way past Davey Millsaps to 3rd. That was wild.
Yeah, these guys, it looked like Davey was just going to let him have it. And then Byrne got sideways in the corner just before this, and then Davey got it back, and then Byrne goes, no, I passed you. I belong ahead of you. So that's that. And meanwhile, Reed's back there. He made a little mistake of his own, a lost contact with these guys, but he's back now.
All right, so here is Reed leaning on Millsaps. Reed in 5th. And we saw a few mistakes out of Reed in the first moto, even though he won that thing. And a few more mistakes here in Moto 2. This track is very difficult. But despite that, he's still going after Millsaps.
He's just fast. He can manufacture speed when he needs to. And that's something that's very difficult for a lot of riders to do. They get in a pace. I remember being able to just get in a pace, and then somebody would catch me, and I'd need to pick it up and couldn't. Chad can adjust. He can look at the situation and see what he needs to do, how fast he needs to